When will the cops learn? It looked like a fabulous end for investigators, hitting one of the most powerful mafia organizations in Canada, a leading clan of the Ndrangheta, under the gun and under arrest. Their Ferrari sports cars towed away, their money frozen, houses seized, gambling dens closed. All in the summer of 2019. Even their outrageously pricey booze was snatched from their shelves. What a difference 18 months has made. As of now, the prosecution has been halted. All charges stayed, their cars and houses and luxury goods returned. The mob reporter here with news of an embarrassing debacle by police after a multi-million-dollar probe codenamed Project Sindacato that was all for nothing, because investigators improperly monitored communications between suspects and their lawyers, which in Canada, like many countries, is a violation that prosecution couldn't recover from. Let me tell you about it. July 18th, 2019 was a day of celebration for York Regional Police, just north of Toronto. It was the end of a hugely ambitious investigation that stretched over 18 months, targeting what police called the Figliomini crime group, named after the man police said was the boss, Angelo Figliomini. He was the longtime head of what they described as a clan of the Ndrangheta, the mafia that formed in Italy's region of Calabria. It was show and tell time. Officers had seized 27 homes, 23 high-end cars worth $3.5 million, about $1 million in cash, along with luxury goods, including boxes and boxes of Rolex watches and booze, including a $6,000 bottle of Scotch and a $4,000 bottle of cognac. Outside Figliomini's house in Vaughan, officers corralled 2 Ferraris and towed them away, and then they seized his house. Figliomini, 56 at the time, was charged with directing a criminal organization, possession of the proceeds of crime, laundering the proceeds of crime, and other charges. He was also charged federally with tax evasion by the Canada Revenue Agency. Seizing the moment, the tax department compared it to the fall of the most notorious of America's Prohibition-era gangsters. Like Al Capone thought he didn't have to report his taxes, the revenue agent told me at the time. He was wrong, he said. For 14 months of their probe, York police had wiretaps up and running on various targets. And while this was a boost to their investigation, it is also the source of the trouble that pushed it all over a cliff. You see, in Canada, and in fact many jurisdictions around the world, what a client talks about with his lawyer should remain confidential. In Canada, it is considered a principle of fundamental justice. And yet that rule was ignored. Time and time again, court heard. Not only were phone calls with lawyers listened in on and recorded and assessed during the probe, but emails with lawyers found on phones and computers that were seized in the raids were also used, court heard. Lawyers for the accused call it, quote, a flagrant disregard, unquote, for the rule of law. Shocking, said one. Problematic, said another. Worse still, lawyers argued the cops and the prosecutors tried to hide what they did, making the damage even worse. So much of the entire investigation and prosecution against all 9 of those charged was tainted beyond repair. It's all thrown out of court. Project Sindacato was the first project of a new anti-mob task force, and this was meant as its coming out party. For mob watchers like me, it seemed a remarkable achievement. Ambitious, bold, going after the leadership as well as the money. The Ndrangheta, you must understand, is one of the world's richest and most powerful crime groups. While police attention was focused on its better-known cousins, Sicily's Cosa Nostra and the American La Cosa Nostra, the Ndrangheta was blossoming everywhere. From its base in the small cities and towns of Calabria, it spread its tentacles around the world, finding fertile territory in the United States, Canada, Australia, Germany, Netherlands, Argentina, and many, many others. It is notoriously hard to penetrate because the clans are built on family ties. This is the real family, blood and marriage. The connections between the branches around the world remain tight. The Ndrangheta families originally from in and around Saderno have the upper hand in Canada. These close-knit clans are collectively known as the Saderno Group, and they stand as a formidable underworld power bloc. This was seen again during the Sindacato probe. During it, 2 alleged mobsters from Italy, Vincenzo Muia and Giuseppe Gregoracci, came to Toronto to meet with men Canadian police were watching. Police in both countries cooperated as well. Italian police tracked and tapped the cell phones carried by their citizens, while Canadian police had wiretaps running on its suspects in Canada. Muia said he came to Canada for one reason, to talk to Angelo Figliomini and his brother, Cosimo, both originally from Salerno, who he considered bosses within the constellation of the connected Ndrangheta clans. When police made their move in Canada with raids and arrests, officers in Italy acted simultaneously, rounding up dozens of alleged mobsters in a parallel probe, with Canadian and Italian cops sharing information. I don't know what impact the falling apart of the case in Canada may have on the Italian charges, if anything. Italy has different rules of evidence, and police were investigating a different set of crimes in different circumstances. But there was overlap, especially since wiretaps from Canada were submitted as evidence in court in Italy as part of the prosecution. And many of those charged in Italy with Mafia association live in Canada, including Angelo and Cosimo Figliomini. Figliomini's lawyer, Michael Lacey, told me his client always maintained his innocence. Quote, "It is our position that the Crown's case was premised on innuendo, suspicion, and unsubstantiated allegations," he said. York Police said the force is extremely disappointed by the decision of the government to stop the prosecution. What makes the downfall of Project Sindacato so mind-boggling is that this isn't new law or an original tactic of legal complaint. Police in Canada have a history of stumbling over solicitor-client privilege rules when they're trying to tackle the mob. The mistakes are well known. They're legendary in organized crime circles. Just a year before the Sindacato operation wrapped up, Leonardo Rizzuto, the son of the boss of the Mafia in Montreal, along with a co-accused, Stefano Sollecito, were acquitted of gangsterism and conspiracy charges in Quebec for a similar breach by police. In 1990, Leonardo's father, the Montreal Mafia boss Vito Rizzuto himself, was acquitted in a large drug smuggling case on the East Coast after police recorded conversations between his lawyers by bugging their table in a hotel restaurant where they ate dinner after the day's court hearings. It's bewildering why they would do that. Vito Rizzuto's good fortune in that case had potentially significant consequences. The charges came when he was starting to emerge as a crime boss of serious international status. A conviction then could have hampered his growth significantly. Beating the charges, on the other hand, only left him free to keep building one of the most impressive criminal enterprises on the continent. More than that, though, it enhanced his reputation. In the same way that beating charges gave New York Mafia boss John Gotti an aura of invincibility, it led to both Gotti and Rizzuto being referred to as Teflon Dons, because charges against them didn't stick. After Rizzuto was freed because of the illegal wiretaps, Rizzuto gave what has become one of the classic underworld quotes in Canada. He said, "One word can mean so much, especially when that word is acquittal." I suspect Angelo Figliomini feels much the same way. Thanks for watching.